Hello and welcome to another episode of the Full Force Weekly, brought to you by GeneralsJoesReborn.com with me, Christopher McLeod AKA Diagnostik80. For today's episode, I'm joined by the awesome Patrick Notpicard Stewart and Justin Generals Joes Bell. In this regular video series, we round up all the week's news in the world of G.I. Joe. Full Force Weekly. Mate, I cannot believe how ridiculous the news has been this week. Monday, we had 7 news stories on Monday, and it just gave me anxiety.
Yeah, it's been several busy weeks in a row, I think.
It really has, and in fact, if we get stuck into the news right now, we've actually had news that's just happened again seconds ago that we've had to wedge in. So let's get stuck in, shall we? In t-shirt news, so last week we reported on the Major Blood classified design that appeared out of nowhere on 80s Tees, but more new pieces of art have slipped under the radar. One of them was Scarlet, and it was a new piece of art, Beachhead, which is another new piece of art, and Zartan, which is art that we've already seen elsewhere but is still pretty cool to see. Now, the Scarlet art seems to coincide with her recent redeco release. The colours are subdued and the hairstyle and face look completely different to the previous Scarlet art seen on the website. Beachhead is completely new, and that's really interesting because, as we know, he hasn't even been on the website yet. So it's quite interesting, obviously, that Beachhead was one of those characters that came out, you know, as a Target exclusive, but was never really shown on the website as a character in the listings. So it's really cool to see new art from him, and obviously we get a new t-shirt with that beautiful art of Zartan. Pat, what do you think of these new pieces? Let's start with Scarlet.
Well, Scarlet, I was actually just looking because her face kind of does remind me a little bit of one of the pieces of art that's on the website.
Yeah, when you click on through to her actual character profile, there's one very quite similar in the face. The actual image just prior to that on the actual main page is like the completely different style, isn't it, almost?
Yeah, it kind of looks like maybe it was somebody who was commissioned, started with an earlier art and adapted it quite a lot. It's definitely really nice. I think that she looks kind of a little bit menacing as there. And one of the things that I noticed is that her left shoulder doesn't have like that big piece of armor that is actually on the figure. And it doesn't look like the image is reversed either, because the part in her hair is on the same side. So I kind of wonder what's happening with this. If that is the repaint of Scarlet, it's kind of weird that we haven't seen Duke or Roadblock as well.
Yeah.
Done as art. So I don't know. Is that what this is? Do you think for sure that that's what this is?
That was really just a speculative kind of, I suppose, that's something that I just noticed really in terms of the colour scheme. It could be the case that, lots of this art has been commissioned and done prior to kind of any of this coming out, and then just kind of drip feeding it out into, the public, as it were, at this stage. But it does strike me as quite odd that we'd get a Scarlet redeco, and then very shortly afterwards we get this art kind of appearing on an 80s tee. It's quite interesting as well. Obviously we had the Major Blood art, which isn't anywhere else. Like that's come out. It was on the box, but it's not the best image. Like it's pretty obvious that they weren't showing that for a reason. Hasbro, the back of the box for those new releases with Major Blood. But to have the 80s t-shirt kind of prominently display this brand new design in the classified range, may I add, it's quite funny that we get that, and also this Beachhead artwork, which dropped. Well, we noticed it. Well, you noticed it just moments before we recorded, and what's interesting about that is that Beachhead doesn't appear on the site at all, does he?
Yeah, I kind of wonder if maybe they just kind of forgot to add him to the roster of characters. I think that with a number of things that they were trying to add to the website, and maybe they didn't want to reveal him right away, to leave him as a surprise. Maybe since they were holding him back for a surprise, they just forgot to go back in and put him in there. That's entirely possible.
You wonder what their priorities are, because it's not like they've quickly updated the site in in order of, all these other things happening. So you wonder, clearly the site is something that they are interested in updating, because they have done recently with the Gung Ho, Flint, and Zartan artwork. So they've definitely been updating it, but they haven't been keeping up with it, have they?
Right. It hasn't been. It's not like we get a wave of figures and we get an update to the website. That's not what's going on. I think that maybe they kind of have their priorities, or they know what things are coming up, and they kind of make a decision to change things. And, it's there for marketing as well as it is for anyone who's unfamiliar with the line. So
yeah,
I don't know. That Scarlet art is so different that it could be the redeco, but at the same time, I kind of want to, in the back of my mind, put a bookmark there just in case it's something for the future. Because, it's Scarlet. She's one of the main G.I. Joe characters. If this line goes as long as we want it to, I would be surprised if we don't get her again.
Absolutely, yeah.
Beachhead, I think that it's interesting that he actually has his beret tucked in there on his shoulder in this art.
Yeah, very, very cool little addition, that. Obviously, you can't do that with the figure, but right. It is very neat that they've added that, in the artwork. Or, I wonder if they were kind of going through design choices with the figure and thought at some point, maybe we go with the beret tucked in the epaulette kind of style. And, maybe this is art that reflects that kind of design idea early on.
It could be. Yeah, I'm wondering if some of this art is earlier, because we haven't mentioned the third character that's on there, have you? Zartan?
Mentioned him, but we haven't discussed him yet.
The thing that we noticed about him is that his eye color is actually different on the shirt than it is on the website. So it's also possible that whatever Art 80s tease was sent, Hasbro has continued to alter as they were going to actually put it on the website. So yeah, it's all very curious stuff. Yeah,
very interesting. Anyway, I'm happy to see more of this art kind of creeping through. Like, I'm really kind of, it's almost like a nice, it's not like a character reveal necessarily, but it does feel like that sometimes when there's new media attached or new artwork. It feels like new media for me. So I'm quite happy to see, the more the merrier kind of, stuff come through. So that was really cool. Beachhead, Zartan, Scarlet, and of course Major Blood last week. Scarlet slipped under the radar last week. She'd actually been released then, and we've just noticed, like I said today, that Beachhead and Zartan have been added to 80s Tees as well. Okay, well, let's move on then to the next news item. And in Mezco news, so Mezco Toyz have posted a fan vote for their next Hazard Squad figure. Anyone can vote on getting either Ulysses Clamp McGuffin, Dippodomus, or Death Adder. Why am I telling you this? Well, it's because Mezco have recently revealed their very own Destro 112 collective figure, and Death Adder looks very familiar, in the body at least, to our very own Snake Eyes. Could this be a base body and soft goods that we see for the inevitable Snake Eyes figure that is sure to be revealed by Mezco at some point eventually? Not just that, but the name and snake motif is also a pretty big homage to the whole Snake Eyes and Cobra themes related to the figure. In any case, these guys look cool, and I like the thought of foreshadowing mould and soft goods uses. Pat, do you think we might be looking at Snake Eyes here?
I don't think that they would just release the entire body of Snake Eyes and then release Snake Eyes. That seems a little redundant. But having seen their other stuff and the fact that multiple heads are a possibility, that tells me that you'd probably be able to just pop the head off of this one, and if Snake Eyes comes with two heads, pop the Snake Eyes head onto this figure, and then you'd have two Snake Eyes figures. So I definitely think there's some possibility here for G.I. Joe fans to be, getting something.
Do you think then that if they do release a Snake Eyes, you've got to admit it's a pretty inevitable scenario. If you've got a G.I. Joe line and you're an action figure line, Snake Eyes has to be in there. I mean, it's like Optimus Prime in Transformers. Every single line, there's an Optimus Prime, sometimes multiples. So in the case with G.I. Joe, Snake Eyes has to be the one and only character you're always going to at some point in your release schedule. Now, if you're thinking they are going to do that, which I've just probably explained to you that is exactly what's going to happen here, do you expect the design to be completely different then?
I do. I actually do. I think that this is going to look like a version of Snake Eyes, but it's not going to look like the version of Snake Eyes that we may get. And in fact, the fact that this looks a lot like the 1985-ish Snake Eyes,
Yeah.
I think that people may want to consider picking this up if you're going to go all in on the Mezco G.I. Joe.
Yeah, and obviously it's a fan vote at the moment, so I kind of made my vote. I made my vote in there for the Death Adder. So I'm kind of excited to see if that kind of comes to fruition. I haven't checked the actual scores recently, but when I checked last time, it was pretty solidly Death Adder at that time. That could have changed by now, and I should probably just check and find out.
This isn't the kind of fan vote where they have the fans vote and then release one as the fan vote and then kind of release the others later, is it?
I would imagine that would probably happen. At the moment, Death Adder is leading the charge with 49.1%. Dip Domis has 43%, so he's not far behind. And Ulysses Clamp MacGuffin, which I think actually is a really cool looking figure as well, with that clamp hand and everything, at 7.9%. So Death Adder is leading the charge as we speak right now. And I think you've probably got a couple of days left on that. It wasn't very long. You had about a week when it went up, and that went up earlier in the week. So yeah, that'll be, check it out. Go on Twitter, vote. Go on their Facebook page and vote there as well, and we'll see what we get. Is that something that interests you though, Pat? Would you be willing to get that if that's the one that wins?
Honestly, I probably won't be picking this up just because, things that exist on the periphery so much. I've not been going after every single thing as much as I used to.
Well, that's cool. I'm probably won't either, but I did go in for the Destro, and we'll get to that story a little bit later on. But first, in Toys R Us news, WHP Global, a New York-based brand management company, announced Monday it bought a controlling interest in Toys R Us parent company and will now manage True Kids' business and growth. Terms of the deal weren't disclosed, but WHP have previous targeting struggling retail brands and trying to revive them. COVID made sure that the last reinvention of Toys R Us failed when their new style of store, less toys, more interactivity, which was set to open in malls all around the USA, never really got off the ground. The last two stores shut their doors very recently, and now WHP are swooping in with a plan to open a number of stores again prior to the holiday period. Big plans here, Pat. What are your thoughts about this one?
Well, as I recall, last year, prior to Christmas, the toy shelves were bare. I remember walking down several aisles in Target, and the Lego aisle in particular, the only thing that I saw were a few Harry Potter sets and some of the advent calendars that hadn't sold. That was it at the Target near me as far as Lego went. And the action figure aisle had been pretty wiped clean as well. You couldn't buy any Transformers. So toys were a hot item at Christmas. And I kind of think that it's sad to think of how Walmart and Target are now. There's a lot of the mod resets are mostly putting pigs out with any toys on them.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a demand there for toys. And there's, not just for toys, but for toys that are purchased in person.
Yeah,
the demand was definitely there. I mean, we could talk about how much stuff is being bought online versus what's being bought in person, but just considering the stuff that was purchased in person, there was a huge demand for that last year. And I don't know whether that will be every year or if that was COVID guilt, as I heard a lot of the news places say. But to me, it indicated that if Toys R Us had been around, they probably would have had a record year.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a shame that they weren't, and I'm always going to hope for Toys R Us to come back.
Same.
I hope that they're successful.
Yeah, it's such a shame because even in the previous kind of attempt at reincarnating the brand, it was only really the Toys R the True Kids brands that were going to be in stores anyway. I kind of feel for Toys R Us to be successful, they need the Target, the Walmart kind of layout. They need action figures, they need, like you say, Lego and all that. All of those kind of items need to be available for it to be a success. I think with WHP, they're the kind of company that come in, they try and revive these brands. I don't know how well they're going to be able to do that, but I feel like it's the potential there to revive it and to bring it back and to bring it back into the kind of cultural consciousness again. Because I kind of feel like we do miss it because, you think of, especially with like maybe getting to the end now of, with vaccines coming out and everything, getting to the end of COVID or feeling like there's a light at the end of the tunnel somewhat. I feel like we're going to need stores like that again. There's going to be a real like necessity is going to be there basically. And Walmart and Target have struggled this time just to have anything in their aisles. Like every time I've gone in, and this was prior to it really, quite a few months back now, but the last time I went out to a Target, nothing. Absolutely bare aisles, nothing in the action figures. Other areas of the store, bountiful, but the action figures, nothing. So like, I feel like you say, Toys R Us could be hugely successful given the right approach.
Yeah, and other toys as well. I know that whenever COVID first hit, one of the things that disappeared fast, like with the toilet paper right away.
Yeah.
Bicycles. There are no bicycles at Walmart for months on end. And I don't think that was a coincidence. I think people realized, hey, there's not going to be a lot to do. Maybe the kids are going to be doing some more old-fashioned, having fun, and we won't be on the computers all the time. That's the only thing I can think, because the bicycles disappeared very quickly. And, that was something that you also could get at Toys R Us. And exclusives. I'm kind of wondering, it's hard to get all the wheels turning on something like this very quickly.
Yeah,
and
big time.
Had so many exclusives, not just, G.I. Joe and Transformers and the Hasbro brands, but there would be entire toy lines that existed only at Toys R Us.
Yeah.
And, that's some of the stuff that has kind of suffered since Toys R Us went under. And they're not going to just start up and have all that stuff immediately again. I kind of wonder, how long do the wheels need to be turning on something like this for them to be back up to that point where we would see something like that again?
It's a shame, really, because I remember when we first started the News Burst, one of the first ones we did, if not the first episode we did of the Full Force News Burst, was about Toys R Us going into administration and closing. So it's funny that we come all the way to now, and we're talking about not just a possible return, but the second possible return of the place in the time that we've been doing news bursts. So yeah, it's I do hope that it does start. They can bring it back, and if it's a slow burn back to the top, fair enough. I'm in for the long ride. It's not a problem, but it's definitely a store I miss more than most that have bit the dust in the in my lifetime. That, I think, Toys R Us is the one that just, man, it was dagger to the heart is what it felt like when that went under. It was disgusting how it did go out of business. I feel like that was one of the grossest vulture capitalist type things I've ever heard of. And the way it was kind of like left to rot a little bit, was just really bad. It it put loads of people out, like, the employees and all that kind of stuff. So there was loads about it that put a really bad taste in my mouth, but I don't blame any of that necessarily on the brand. Like the Toys R Us brand, I still have that close nostalgic connection to it. Worked there at some point in my life as well. So it's like, if this comes back, then great, and I'm happy for it to take some time in doing so.
Yeah, I think that all of us wish them well, but we also wish them well to some degree for selfish reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. And continuing on with the selfish reasons, because all of this is selfish, but in Minimates news... Diamond Select Toys revealed a new box set of G.I. Joe Minimates last Monday. We caught wind of the planned box set back when DST revealed their Dio Statue of Destro, but a press release confirmed the details of a 4-figure set consisting of Snake Eyes, Scarlet, Storm Shadow and Cobra Commander, which will be a previews exclusive, and you can pre-order a set from your local comic store for $24.99. We've actually got the images too, and they look amazing. They'll be individually carded but sold together, and we don't have images of the packaging yet. But what did you think of these little beauties, Pat?
I think that they, right out of the gate, made what people wanted.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a good thing. G.I. Joe mini-mates have been on the mind of people for a very long time. I know that there's a lot of comparison of them to other minifigures such as Lego. I can recall G.I. Joe mini-mates coming up in discussions whenever G.I. Joe Creo came about.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that really love mini-mates. There are so many characters that are already made since mini-mates have been around seemingly forever at this point. What are they on, like 20 years?
I can't remember when they first appeared, but it seems like the entire time I've been collecting.
Yeah, it's probably been 20 years. I can remember seeing them at Toys R Us in those earlier days whenever I was shopping some of the Toys R Us exclusive G.I. Joes back in the early...
Yeah, I remember like Wolverine and the X-Men mini-mates and all those kind of things like way back in the day. Totally, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see what else they do. They're definitely not going into the odd corners of G.I. Joe right away. But, playing it safe and making something that everybody's going to want. Anyone who wants mini-mates and G.I. Joe, this is it. It's the pretty much the perfect set right away.
Absolutely. I will say as well that obviously I was really surprised, pleasantly, at how good they look as well. Because I think I was probably expecting a decent quality when I saw the Transformers ones that were revealed like a few weeks prior. And when I saw those, I thought, actually, the Transformers ones look fantastic. They work really, really nicely for Transformers too, like the styles and the articulation and the head sculpts and everything. So you can get away with most scales and most styles with Transformers figures. But with G.I. Joe, I was kind of like a little apprehensive. But when they showed up, I'm like, damn, these are solid, really cute. I'm definitely gonna have to pick some of these up. I will be contacting my local comic store. At the moment, the previews exclusives. So unless you have a previews like a previews binder, they're so massive though, like catalogs they've come out with. Or you can go to your local comic store and pre-order them through them. I imagine a lot of local comic stores will be ordering these in anyway. So, go check them out. If you can order them, go and do so. I think they're going to be really wicked. And I can't wait to see more characters. Any characters that you want to see, Pat, in this line?
Actually, when the Transformers were shown, the one that has always been in my mind as something that I should have made as a custom or something else is the character of Bot.
Oh, yeah.
The character from the episode called Bot in Generation 1, but he almost already looks like a mini-mates. So I think that would be a home run for me. But for G.I. Joe, I don't know. I'm pretty happy with the number of secondary pieces that they made for these as well that are specific to G.I. Joe. It wasn't like they just did everything as a paint deco.
Yeah.
I could go for almost anything. I think that one of the nice things about mini-mates is that they really have gone into some of the obscure Marvel stuff. So maybe we could see some of the obscure G.I. Joe things as long as these sell pretty decently.
I know you're thinking Lightfoot, Tiger Force Hit and Run, Downtown. I know that's what you're thinking, definitely.
Right, of course. Yeah, my mind immediately goes to those. You know what? Here, I'll put this one out there. I would like Sergeant Savage.
Whoa!
I would like Joseph Colton, in multiple types of body styles.
Nice. Cool. Orange jumpsuit.
Well...
I have it.
1964 G.I. Joe. Give me that.
Cool. Awesome. Right. Well, that's mini-mates for you guys then. Yes, I am well into these and can't wait to order my own set. Anyway, moving on then, and in massive Hasbro Pulse news. Hasbro revealed their next huge fan event called Hasbro Pulse Fan Fest, which is airing on their YouTube channel on the 9th of April at 11 AM Eastern Standard Time. The event sounds much like their previous brand extravaganza PulseCon, with product reveals and fan interactivity, as well as a focused Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins panel that threatens to reveal all the amazing movie product for classified and roleplay items. They even stated that Mr. Snake Eyes himself, Henry Golding, will be revealing his brand new action figure, and we can't wait. We will be going live on Facebook shortly after the G.I. Joe segment to discuss the amazing reveals, and hopefully a trailer as well. We can dream, alright. Pat, excited much?
I'm definitely looking forward to this. I really enjoyed PulseCon. I note that they are naming this differently, so this isn't really Hasbro PulseCon, but maybe this is what we are getting instead this year. I thought that PulseCon was a lot of fun, and I would love to see that level of excitement and involvement done again. But, you know, if we're just getting a little bit of it, that's also good. You know, like I said, these events that show us just a few things and allow us to actually digest and talk about a few of the toys at a time is a lot more fun to me than just looking at the entire lineup and everybody picking 2 or 3 things to talk about and kind of ignoring the rest.
Yeah.
And I much prefer talking about just a few of the items. So I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, I know what you mean. First, on your point about PulseCon, it's effectively just feels like a more condensed version, doesn't it? Like it's only there's only a day effectively of that, but then there will be a preview event, I believe, in the week leading up to the actual event. But then in terms of the, you know, all of the kind of reveals and the panels and all that kind of stuff, that's all happening on the 9th. And I think at 5 p.m. Eastern, all of the product goes up for pre-order. So it's not one of those things where you're watching it anxiously trying to wait, like half watching it trying to order things online, which I don't really like a lot of the time. I'm not a fan of that. I prefer it to be like, okay, so they're going to go up at this time. Let's enjoy what we're actually watching and then think about that later, because in the past that has killed me. Although last time during PulseCon, they did that and I completely missed it. I missed the window because I was busy like trying to post things and edit stuff, and like I was like, gee, like thankfully I didn't miss out on ordering anything, but it was one of those things where, you know, I'd like to be there right on the actual turnover of that time period, because you just don't know how long stuff's going to stay in. But anyway, really looking forward to it. Looks like we're getting classified reveals from the movie. Looks like we're getting, so, you know, that's confirmed, classified movie line. I know we've known about this for a long period of time, but that's really exciting to me. Are you looking forward to the movie stuff in terms of classified?
Absolutely. I think that we are going to be getting new styles of some of these characters done with the level of articulation and sculpting that we have now seen in the classified line. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing anything that they're willing to show us, I guess.
Yeah. Also role play stuff. So I know you'll be buying that because you love dressing up as Snake Eyes. I have pictures. I'm just kidding. I don't. But in any case, really looking forward to that. Can't wait to see what Henry Golding's involvement's going to be. He's effectively revealing his own action figure, which is a lot of fun. Imagine that, Pat. Imagine getting to go on like a Hasbro event and like, here's my action figure. How crazy would that would like? Just tell me on a level, like, would that blow your mind as a human being?
Especially me, because, you know, there's always, for G.I. Joe fans, that's always been a part of the allure, because a lot of people have been added as action figures. That's what they were doing in the 80s. But I've never been of the thought that ever on a package would it say, you know, the name Patrick Stewart does not identify any known person. That's just not going to be a thing that happens. So
well. If you look at all of the X-Men movie stuff, I'm sure the odd Patrick Stewart thing pops up from every now and again. But yeah, that's not Picard. Anyway, let's move on then. And like I said, we'll be there live ourselves on Facebook, and we will keep you up to date with any kind of details that pop up beforehand. But we will be going live effectively after the G.I. Joe segment, and we'll try and get as many of the crew on that call as possible. But moving on then, and in geeky tiki news, I never thought I'd be saying that sentence. Big Bad Toy Store dropped pre-orders for some G.I. Joe B-Line Creative Geeky Tikis last Monday. The Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow Tiki mugs are up on their site for $24.99 each. Is everything $24.99 this week? I feel like it is. They hold 16 ounces and a top-shelf dishwasher and microwave safe. Snake Eyes is in his V2 getup, complete with a sword and Uzi, and Storm Shadow is rocking the V1 Cobra duds and 2 swords. Madame. I say Madame because of Madame 2 swords. That probably won't make any sense to anybody. Very cute, and I really want these. What do you think, Pat?
I think these look like the perfect kind of thing to put on your desk and put a couple of pencils in. I don't know if I would drink out of these if I get them, but they are really well styled. I like the fact that they... Yeah, there you go.
This is not a tiki. This is a Baron Iron mug, the Baron Ironblood mug that Kate made many moons ago, and I put all my pens and stuff in it. So yeah, you're right. Probably the tikis are probably best served as pen holders.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that they're very, very nice. I like the way that they've styled Storm Shadow. You know, Snake Eyes just being kind of more monochromatic. I don't know that it quite brings across the tiki look as well as Storm Shadow, who is not just a super bright white, and then, you know, he has all of his details kind of filled in there with black outline. It looks good. They really did a good job with these.
I do like them. I think they're really adorable, actually. And you know, like we've been talking in the past, obviously, about the merchandise being like just huge at the moment with Snake Eyes on the horizon, and it's just like the things are just coming out constantly now. This one, if you'd have told me, if you'd have just described this to me, I probably would have been like, okay, whatever. But when they popped up, I was like, oh my god, they're so adorable. And I love the fact that Snake Eyes inside is red, and the inside of Storm Shadow is they've painted black. So it's like I don't know, just they look really nice, really striking, a lot of fun. And obviously, having recently bought a bunch of G.I. Joe glassware from Adroit Brewing Company, I'm thinking now, well, we're gonna have to get the tikis, aren't we? I'm gonna have to get like all of the like everything that comes out merch-wise that you can put in your kitchen or put in your cupboards. I'm probably gonna be getting.
Well, do you know what size these are going to be?
Well, it says 16 ounces, so that big, I guess.
So
yeah. About yay big.
Yeah, that's 16.9 ounces right there.
Yeah, just
so
cut the top off and you
around
saw
there.
it. Yeah.
I
think that'd be I think they're really cute, and I'm more than likely going to be picking those up after we've got off the call. Are you going to be picking them up, Pat? I should ask.
I'll consider it. Yeah, because they look like something that would look good sitting right here behind me. Or maybe I've thought about adding a desk to get some stuff done rather than just doing everything on my laptop. So they're definitely on the radar.
Absolutely. Well, that is Geeky Tikis. Okay, so next up then, and in gaming news, Fortnite has been back in the news again, this time with one of their main characters, Agent Jones, showing off his new ink. With the Season 6 Battle Pass kicking off last week, the titular hero has been seen with the Arashikage tattoo on his left shoulder, sparking even more interest with the Joe crowd. The new tat is clearly a nod to the latest addition to the game, Snake Eyes, and hopefully we will see this new addition to Agent Jones' future action figure releases. I don't know about you, Pat, here, but I'm loving all the attention the brand is getting, especially from Fortnite. What were your thoughts about this little homage nugget?
Well, I really liked that it wasn't just a one and done. It wasn't like they just had Snake Eyes, added him to the game, and moved on. They are continuing to look at that. Is that a Snake Eyes style sword that he's actually has in his back there as well?
That it could very well be, actually, yeah, because it does have that shape to the handle, doesn't it? But again, probably should have done way more research than I did. But yeah, I think it could possibly be that, because I think in this particular, the kind of story-based element to this particular aspect of the game is kind of like a scavenging thing where you can just you can just take items and put them on you, if that makes sense. So you're kind of taking from lots of different aspects of what is available in the game, and Snake Eyes' sword is available in the game, so that's probably on his back too in that picture. What is interesting, actually, is that a number of these images popped up in, different iterations of Agent Jones wearing different items. He's wearing like Colonial Marine gear, because obviously there was an alien drop not too long ago. And the tattoo is always there. However, in some of the images, the tattoo is upside down. So I wonder if, as someone that when you apply things to the character, you can actually edit them and move them around and like have them in different angles and stuff. Because it's the only reason I could think as to why in one picture it's the right way up with the unbroken at the bottom and the broken at the top. And in other pictures, it's flipped around. So that's the only reason I can really gauge that would happen.
I always credit it to Fun School. So this would be the Fun School Agent Jonesy.
Amazing.
They did that the one time, and I will never forget.
Hashtag never
Storm
forget.
Shadow with it upside down.
Amazing. I mean, that is a hot topic in G.I. Joe lore. Like, I did notice when I posted the original story via His Tank. Shout out to His Tank for breaking this. But like, when I reposted their article, I think 3 of the comments were like, yeah, in 3 of the images it's upside down. And I'm like, really? And I looked at the first image I look at, it's the right way up, and I'm thinking, no, I think they've got that wrong. And as I was scrolling through, I'm like, oh yeah, you can definitely tell that the other tattoo images of that tattoo are the other way around. So it must be an element where you can edit the direction of that particular thing. Or it was an error that they corrected. That's the only other thing I could think of, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you can move it to put on various objects. Again, maybe I just need to actually play the game.
We both do, in order to report on it in a more factual way. But in any case, it's still pretty cool, and I'm loving the fact that Joe is getting this. It just seems to be everywhere again, and that's something I never really expected to happen, even with the film. Honestly, I didn't think it was going to be like this again, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how G.I. Joe is, though. It kind of has peaks and valleys, for sure, as far as being out there and in the popular consciousness.
Absolutely. In any case, that is gaming news. And finally, before we get to chat to Justin in the movie segment, Pat and I have got some Mezco news to talk about. Earlier in the week, Mezco Toyz dropped pre-orders for their brand new 112 Collective Destro figure and a truckload of fancy new images, showing off all of the figure's weapons and accessories. The figure will set you back $100 and won't be shipping until between January to March of next year. He is absolutely stacked to the gills with features, soft goods and accessories. Pat, what do you think now you've seen him with all of this gear?
Wow. I thought that he was going to sell before. I thought that, Mezco's going to do it. The quality will be good, just judging on their other figures. And, then people had the debate. I didn't really like the grinning face as much as I liked the one that looked more like the card art.
Yeah.
But now that I see all the stuff that he comes with, I've gone from, well, it'll sell, to this thing's probably going to sell out. And like we said with other things in the past, it's almost a danger to skip this one, because as other characters get added to the line, there's going to be fewer and fewer of those earlier ones available. And I don't know if Destro is going to last that long, even because, like you said earlier, there's going to be a Snake Eyes. That's going to happen in this line, I'm sure. Will Destro still even be available by the time Snake Eyes comes out? I don't know. He comes with a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
It's cool that one of the things that I always wanted to do with my original Destro is you could see like the weapons in his backpack. I always wanted to build them, and this one allows you to do that. I mean, the 25th line, I guess maybe it was the 50th line, had Destro in it, where you could build a rifle. But this, it fits in a briefcase. It's very cool what they're going with here.
When I first saw the images drop, because I was like, I was actually preoccupied at the time. I was doing some other work, and I'd asked you guys in the message group, I'd say, guys, if this goes up for pre-order, please let me know. I need to kind of post about it, what have you. And it just so happened that around about like 12:30, around about that time in the afternoon, I was I was there kind of like monitoring it. And it just pops up with all these images. And I'm like, frantically, my first move is always to get the pre-order in. Just get the pre-order in and then deal with the post afterwards. You don't have to be like the first person to get stuff out there. It's, you just don't have to. Invariably, I'm not. But, you know, I just wanted to make sure that was in play. But when I started, I'm flicking through those images, like there were like so many of them. And I'm like, holy crap, this figure is so versatile. 3 heads for a start, 3 pretty like violently different looking heads. Violently is not the right word, but you know what I mean. Drastically different looking heads. And that's cool on its own merits, but the body looks amazing. The soft goods look really good. And we'd seen a couple of images prior, obviously, that showed a good amount of the character. But seeing all of these different poses and the different uses of the hands, obviously there's multiple out of 12 interchangeable hands. The missiles, not only looking really cool on the gauntlet, but then the ones firing off, which seems to be like, that is like the in vogue type style to do Destro's wrist rockets right now, isn't it? It's like we have to have a fixed rocket fired kind of mold to attach, and that seems to have been the case with a couple of the statues, and now this Mezco figure, right?
I think that's a good addition to the figure that they didn't need to put in there in order to sell it. The third head, I think, was a huge win because
big time.
People do tend to think of Destro as either having the hard mask that can't move, or they think of him like Sunbow, where it's kind of a part of his face. I know that I prefer the hard immobile mask.
Whatever. I prefer the one on Sunbow, which is clearly just chrome paint on his face. It has to be. There's no other explanation for it.
But then somehow a collar that's also...
Sexy collar. Sexy. You can just have a collar, paint the rest of your head. In fact, I'm going to do that. I'm going to shave my head, all the hair on it, chrome everything, and stick a sexy collar around my neck, and I'll be Destro.
Okay, if that's that, I'll see next episode.
Could you imagine if I turned up with that look? No, yeah, I agree with you, though. I think having multiple heads is always a win, because it you know, these action figures can only do so much. You can't have articulated mouths necessarily, you know, to move every muscle in.
Right.
I mean, you're in kind of Hot Toys can't even do that. So you're in a situation where you have to kind of compromise a little, and multiple heads, multiple hands makes sense. The briefcase as well. Let's talk about the briefcase. Not only has it got a little flip up laptop like pad or like iPad thing that flips up on the top of it, but when you open said briefcase is a light up feature. That was just the icing on the cherry. That's the cherry on the icing on the cake for me for this figure.
So does it have 2 different sets of things that you can put in there? Well, I'm looking at the 2 of them. There's like the light up function, and then it says interior weapons storage.
I guess you can take. Yeah. You can see it like that thing that sits on top. I guess you have two different things you can put in the briefcase. That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's really something amazing to me. I
bet that is a flippy job. Do you reckon? So like you take it out, flip it round, and you've got a different set of things in there. And you take like that little bit inside, you can take out and flip over and drop in.
Maybe I would think though that since the accessories are removable, they're going to have to take up some amount of thickness inside the briefcase. You know what? Maybe all that is in there. I don't know. That's a good question.
Well, I suppose we'll find out. But my God, I love that feature. And in any case, it looks like there's enough space. If you want both of those things in the briefcase, it'll just cover that Cobra sigil. So there looks to be enough space in there. But how gorgeous is that briefcase? It's just amazing.
It's kind of giving me vibes of which it's the Brad Bird directed Mission Impossible movie where
yes,
we're fighting over the briefcase at the end of it, and it has the satellite control in it. And that's exactly what Destro would have.
Is that the one where they're fighting in the car park, like the moving car park?
It is, yes. Ghost Protocol.
Yeah. I do love those movies. They're like a really kind of, I wouldn't say like guilty pleasure, but like I find them so entertaining.
Well, that second one, if you like that one, I'm going to call that one a guilty pleasure.
Okay,
Pretty guilty if you like that one.
Okay, well, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 31, 9. Yeah, I do kind of, I look forward actually to seeing what ridiculously stupid, dangerous stunt he does on his own, Mr. Cruise, on those particular movies.
He's definitely done some amazing stunts all on his own.
That one where he hung onto the side of the plane.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even. He learned to fly a helicopter and then did really dangerous stunts in it. That's just bonkers to me. Guy's tapped. Anyway, it really is tapped. But yeah, I mean, this is great. So many cool features, so many... I mean, and also, one thing I will mention is getting a really good look at the soft goods of his tech suit, that they're calling it. There's a shot where he's playing with the briefcase from behind, like kind of to the side and behind, which seems to be the classic way of showing Destro looking in a briefcase. They did it with Classified. They're doing it with this now. And just seeing the details on that suit are just making me think this thing's going to be brilliant.
Yeah, it's interesting that not only can they get soft goods to look good on a figure that small, but the fact that they're actually able to add texture to it.
100%. 100%. Well, anyway, you can actually pre-order that still. I don't think it's sold out just yet. Mezco have got it on their site, and obviously numerous places, Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth, yada, yada, yada. Loads of other places have it too. So you will not... I don't think you'll have trouble getting this, but I would agree with Pat on this one. If you are thinking about future products in this line that you really want to get involved with, jump on now, because it's going to be important that you get this figure, because you know you're going to regret it come the time when it's like a few months down the line and that thing is impossible to get hold of. But in any case, Pat, that's it for the news today. Pretty big one, eh?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. It's crazy what can be revealed in a week. And since we're recording now, there probably should be like 10 other things that were revealed while we were recording. Is that right?
Yeah, because then what will happen is I'll message you frantically after we've left the call and be like, we have to do more. But yeah.
I'm just going to refresh the t-shirt page right now.
Yes, please. Please do that. Oh, infantry's up. Yeah, I'm just expecting that to be the case. In any case, well, let's move into the movie news now with Justin Bell, and we will reconvene with you, my good man, in shout-outs. Okay, so joining me now is Justin Generals Joe's Bell to discuss the latest movie news this week in the world of G.I. Joe. Justin, how are you doing, buddy?
Doing all right. How you doing, Chris?
Not too bad. I know you're lying. Just for the
that's
sake
a flat
of
out lie. Yes, not a great day today, but I got to make time to talk G.I. Joe movie.
I appreciate it very much. The fans appreciate the Justin Bell army of fans.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah,
it.
All three of them there clamoring for it.
Well, anyway, let's get stuck into the news then in movies this week, and that is that we reported on reshoots that were going ahead this month for the Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins movie, and now we can tell you they are actually happening in California. Mr. Snake Eyes himself, Henry Golding, recorded a message on his Instagram stories for fans explaining that he had just been tested for COVID and was on set for more filming. Thanks to a friend of the show, KJP Photography, who sent us a link to On Location Vacations, which showed Snake Eyes as a movie undergoing filming in California, including the dates and specific locations, one of which was 135 North Grand Avenue, Los Angeles. This is pretty cool, and I hope we see more behind-the-scenes action going forward. Justin, I'm excited, man, I can't lie. Golding is messaging from the set. We have his action figure reveal very soon, which Pat and I discussed a little bit a while ago. A trailer is dangerously close, right? I mean, how are you coping right now?
Oh, I'm really fired up. That's part of I'm a little salty that don't have the time today to discuss that PulseCon news that's coming up, because I think it's really, really fantastic. I mean, they promised to be showing some movie figures, so I'm sure we're going to be seeing a trailer at some point soon. It's starting to be less theoretical and more real, and I think it'll be even more real once we actually see the trailer. But yeah, I mean, the reshoot's happening in California. It's a great thing. Very cool news. Just the fact that there are people there, doing things that are going to create a Snake Eyes movie is just amazing. And I know I've seen some folks online kind of freaking out a little bit about the reshoots. You know, the movie must be terrible. They've got to reshoot it all. It's all a normal part of the process, and I can't wait to see what the end result is.
Yeah,
it really is.
I mean,
yeah.
It's almost as it's funny. Like I feel like people just think everything gets done in that very small microcosm of time, and it can't really be the case, because I find when I do very basic things like just edit a video, putting a video together for whatever kind of reason, it could just be something very small. It could be a 2-minute thing. I'll film tons of footage. I'll film interviews. I'll film all this stuff. Most of it doesn't even get used, and by the end of it, I realize, oh, I need this, this, and this still. So it's like, if you think that a film is going to be made in that short space of time, the amount of work that goes into this stuff is redonkulous. And the only reason the reshoots are happening at this stage, they were planned way before. In fact, I think Andrew Koji, Storm Shadow, he'd even discussed in an interview, hadn't he, that that there were going to be. He was almost like ready to do reshoots just after the filming had actually kind of concluded. Yeah,
exactly. And so I think it's a normal part of the process, but I will say though, one thing, I'm really looking forward to eventually is the 4-hour Schwenky cut. I think we're going to get some pretty serious movie action once that's ready to go.
When Schwenky quits and they bring another director in, and then Schwenky comes back and he's like, here's my 4-hour cut. Mate,
then we'll get his real vision,
I would take a 4-hour movie. I'd take a 4-hour G.I. Joe movie.
Sign me up. I'd much rather watch 4 hours of Snake Eyes than 4 hours of Justice League. But hey,
we actually started watching it yesterday with the Aranyas, and we got an hour and a half in, and we had to go. We've got to get back for the dogs because we've got to let them out, and then there was more. We were only a third of the way in. It was ridiculous. That film.
I started watching
huge.
It last. I know. I started watching it last night too, and it's a fun movie so far. But I was telling somebody today that I think I watched it for half an hour, and I think only like 10 actual minutes of movie happened because everything's in such like gradual slow motion that like everything is like it just takes forever. I'm like, if you just cut out the slow motion, the movie'd probably be 2 hours long. I mean,
it would be 15 minutes long if you cut out all the slow motion bit. But anyway, but I'm obviously, in terms of the Snake Eyes stuff, are you excited to see what these designs look like? Because clearly we're getting Snake Eyes reveals in the classified line and role play.
Absolutely.
And Henry Golding's revealing his action figure. How excited are you for that?
I'm really pumped up. I mean, that's April 9th. That's less than a month away. I'm extremely excited to see what's going to happen. And it's almost funny because we were hoping that we were going to see that at the Henry Golding interview, like 4 or 5 months ago or something like that. So they actually said it's going to happen this time. So fingers crossed. It's going to be reality. It's not going to be like 4 hours of us sitting on a Brazil online fan convention, like saying, okay, when is something good going to happen?
The funny thing with that was we were poised, ready. I was ready to go live. My hand was like floating over the live button, and we were both watching it kind of going, so what point do we actually see anything from the film? I was really surprised. We saw more on Jimmy Fallon's interview with him when he showed that really cool like training montage of like, sword fighting.
The best part of that is we sat through like 2 separate interviews that were the same, thinking that maybe there'd be just a little bit of difference between them. But
absolutely nothing. Anyway, you're right. It is. I feel like we've had so many opportunities to have a trailer revealed. We had the Super Bowl come and go. Before that, like you say, it was the 2 interviews that Henry and Larry did on, and in 2 different separate conventions that were the same thing effectively. Prior to that, there was, CinemaCon, there was obviously a bunch of other conventions that happened last year, and it just, everything kept coming and going, and now we're at this point, and I'm thinking, surely we're going to see something. We're going to see something trailer-based. It's got to, right? It's only
like
October.
A week before the movie launches or something. Trailer debut, airing next week.
Well, we'll be there, hovering over the live button, ready to go for our reactions.
Whenever it happens.
Anyway, Justin, thank you for jumping on and chatting with me about the movie news this week. Like I said, Henry Golding chatting from the reshoot set, from the set on the reshoots for Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins. And we'll bring you any more information as it kind of creeps out. I'm hoping for a few kind of behind the scenes videos like we had at the start of filming, way back when they started filming this. We haven't really had much of that, have we? It seemed to stop with that kind of Yakuza on motorbikes kind of stunt work.
Yeah, I mean, I won't pretend that Snake Eyes is on the level of any of the Marvel movies or anything, but it always seemed like when, the latest Avengers movie was filming, we had like behind the scenes stuff like crazy all over the place, and that just does not seem to be the case. And whether they're shooting in kind of more private locations or, I mean, let's face it, there's not going to be the same number of people interested in kind of seeing what's going on probably for a Snake Eyes movie than compared to Avengers or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I would have thought we would have seen something. I mean, not even any hints of what the uniform designs look like, or the outfits or aesthetic or anything like that. It's just been pretty quiet, which is in a way that's kind of fun because that leaves a lot to the imagination and it leaves a lot for us still to be surprised by. In some ways, sometimes the trailers can show all the best parts and you get a little bit, you're excited, but then at the same time, like, oh, okay, well, I kind of know what's going on now. But yeah, there still seems like there's a lot of mystery still to be unveiled.
Absolutely. And like I said, Justin, thank you for jumping on, mate, and chatting about the films. We're going to get back to Pat now in the shout out section. Justin, we'll see you next week, hopefully, for any more movie updates. And I hope everything gets sorted out your end and you can join us a bit longer for next time. Have a good one, mate.
Let's hope so. Take care.
Okay, thanks Justin for talking about the movie news there. Now we are into shout-outs, and Pat has returned after nipping away to, I don't know, to do some dangerous spy stuff with regards to movie information. Anyway, Pat, how are you doing, my good man, for shout-outs? We'll start with you on this one, because I always start up first and go through the list. I'm doing mine after you today.
Well, it's been a good week for shout-outs. Shout-out to Philip.
Hey!
Always. And also, there's been some other big kind of news. I will allow you to introduce this one.
Yeah, so this is really cool. Obviously, with the Yojo kind of issues that have been plaguing that particular site for a number of, I'm going to say years, but it's been a while. It's been a while now.
It has been years.
That's such a shame. Oh, well, you would know. Now, Pat is actually involved not only with Yojo, but also with Joe Declassified. And what's been happening recently is that, or what was announced in the week, is that 3D Joe's, Joe Declassified, Yojo, Joe Intel. Am I missing anyone else out there? Is that everyone?
Also, the Rock Guides.
Oh, of course. And yes, rank and file, of course. Apologies, James Kavanagh Jr. That was not an intentional miss there. But yeah, basically the Infinity Stones are all coming together to create a one-stop shop resource for G.I. Joe fans. And Pat, maybe you can talk a little bit more to that in terms of the Joe Declassified.
I like thinking of them as Infinity Stones because to some degree I was helping on almost all of those. Like, I enjoyed the announcement because I'm looking at all the things on there and it's like, oh, I James let me write the foreword in a couple of the rank and file guides, and Joe Intel, it's been a while since that's been online, but yeah. Dan created that website, but at the time he was nice enough to allow me in there as one of the webmasters. So I was heavily involved with Joe Intel. I was with Yojo.com since 2003 up until last year or this year. So yeah, it's been a long ride. And Joe Declassified, I am one of the people that works on that rather heavily. Hopefully,
I'm involved in that too, I guess.
Yeah, both of us. Yeah, and if hopefully you make it out at some point to an AR, and if not an AR, there are actually a lot of conventions that Joe Declassified shows up to and brings lots of stuff, does some panels, and I don't know, it was just kind of nice to see all those things. We're finally coming all together.
It makes sense, doesn't it?
Carson he's been so welcoming. I was speaking with him for a couple of hours last night, actually, and he was helping me, taking me through, spending a lot of time, helping me make sure that I will be able to add things to the website myself as time progresses. So
that's fantastic, and it's kind of necessary with Yojo being that source that I still use it on a daily basis, but obviously some of the restrictions that have been put into place in recent times have made it a little less practical to use as a resource. It's still a great site, obviously, but now the fact that I think everyone's kind of like coming together to create this new collaboration, shall we say, it just makes sense, and it will tie a lot of things together. The information will all be in one place, and that's probably one of the most important things for Joe fans, isn't it? It's like they'll be able to kind of access one place and see everything they need to see about that particular aspect, that particular figure, that character, etc., etc. And yeah, it's only a positive thing, really, isn't it?
For sure. That's one of the things that I've always really loved about the G.I. Joe community, is that we have a tendency to work together and use all of our best resources to make things as good as they possibly can be. I know for Joe Declassified, it really was a lot of fun. Those booths at JoeCon were tons of fun.
Absolutely, I know
that a lot of people coming to the convention were able to see things that they never would have seen otherwise. So a lot of that stuff didn't really have necessarily a place online. There is a joedeclassified.com with the newsletters and things like that, but a lot of that stuff's already being added to 3D Joe's. So everything being in one spot where you could just go and find all of the information, it's going to be amazing. It's already an amazing website, and it's just going to have even more.
Absolutely. So yeah, good luck on that venture, and also as soon as it's going to be something that grows and builds as well. And yeah, it's going to be a great resource to kind of utilize, and I'll be stealing stuff from it all the time, as I do already. In any case, coming back, I just want to say, obviously, as always, massive shout out to all my family and to my wonderful wife, Kate. I love you all. To Brian Sauer, who continues to create some amazing graphics for us, including our brand new spring theme, which we're rocking today, which also happens to be the original Action Force Space Force colour scheme, for anyone who was wondering. Congrats to any keen-eyed Palatoy fans who picked up on that too. We are finally out of the winter months, Pat, which seem to go on for an extra 6 months this year. For any fans of the Arctic Assault winter camo theme, don't worry, you'll see it again next winter, probably in a few weeks' time. Shout out as well to you, Patrick Stewart. Yes, you, for sending me a box full of goodies, a full set of packaging variant Dollar Tree Store Joes, dollar Store Joes. Let's just have these ones. So thank you, mate, for sending. I'm not going to. The whole set's here, all 6. So thank you, mate.
Do you have any examples of what is different?
I should have done that, shouldn't I? In fact, I will. I'll post them on the side.
I have them here. We can just kind of show that they're slightly different. The ones that showed up from the 99 cents only stores versus the ones that are showing up at Dollar Tree. There's actually
it's this little double thing on the front, isn't there? This little 2 of these going on, right?
Yeah.
And then on the back, you've got more text on one of the packs as well. So yeah, again, I'll flash the images up. I can take pictures. But yeah, it's really like what's funny is like I'm like, Pat, I need another set to open, mate. And he's like, I got you. And I'm like, you're an absolute legend. He sends them to me, and then the variants. I can't open the variants. I'm gonna have to get another set of these bad boys. Yeah, Kate's kind of like in the background going, I can't believe you just opened the bloody figures, you idiot. What I did do, though, and this is another thing that I've got to thank Pat for, these adorable little Transformers dollar store figures that you sent me. I did bust these out of the bags. So Grimlock, Prime, Bumblebee. I hadn't actually seen these properly. I'd only seen them on TFW or something like that, when they kind of show the news of the figures. Megatron. And there's Soundwave, Megatron, Operation Grundle, and here's Starscream. And the funny thing about Starscream, it looks like he's seen some shit, man. Like that face. Look at that sculpt. He's like... But these are really cute. Really blown away with how adorable they are. That massive Grimlock is just brilliant as well. So yeah, thank you, mate, for those. And this as well. A Hot Wheels Party Wagon. You know me so well, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that. I actually had been looking for one for myself for a while, and
you got it.
Yeah.
Yay!
Actually, I don't know if somebody dug them out or what they did, but they were on the peg right there together, and I long since missed them because it's been 6 months.
You know Kate and I very well because we both love turtles, and Kate is now on this massive, I say massive, she's on this tip now where she wants tiny little figures. She's loving all these tiny little figures. So thank you so much, Pat. That was really kind of you. And yeah, so shout out to Patrick Stewart, Hot Picard, as I called you during the Valentine's. Yeah, I didn't forget that. So anyway, yeah, that's Pat. Thank you, mate. Much appreciated, buddy. And that's all I've got in actually this week. I was hoping to get Unicron this week, but that was pushed to Tuesday. So, and funny enough, it went from Pawtucket, which is the place I live. It was shipped to California and is coming back through Texas at the moment. So I don't know if he was just hungry and he needs to eat more states, but anyway, he's getting around the country, my Unicron. A bit of sad news as well in that Yaphet Kotto, who played Parker in Alien, and Mr. Big in Live and Let Die, he sadly passed away in the week. His wife made a lovely post on his Facebook page and even stated that he had offers to be in a G.I. Joe movie. So our thoughts go out to his family and friends. Rest in peace, big man. That was another tough one to deal with this week. And another thing that's been kind of happening, that's been going on this week, and something that we really want to talk about, and support. And it goes without saying, really, but we absolutely will say that we stand with the Asian and Pacific Islanders communities in saying stop Asian hate. There is no place in this world for that sort of abhorrent behaviour, and we have been sickened with what we've been seeing in recent months. And that's nothing in comparison to what Asian communities have had to put up with for far too long, even before this recent upsurge in hate crimes. I know it probably means very little coming from us, but we felt the need to at least say that we support you. If you need to report a hate incident, then you can go to stopaapihate.org and help stop this together. Also, if you'd like to donate to the cause, then you can visit the #StopAsianHate GoFundMe, and I've put links in the description for those. And obviously, with the links, obviously, to G.I. Joe, you just got to think Larry Hama. You've got to think like Henry Golding and the new Snake Eyes movie, and all of the Asian actors, and and everyone involved, all of the connections that we have to those communities. Like, it's big in G.I. Joe, and we've got to kind of kick this kind of stuff out before it really kind of gets too much to deal with. So again, it doesn't mean a lot coming from Pat and I, but at the same time, that's something that we feel very strongly about and want to just show our support in this very minor way on the show. So yes, let's all band together and stop this crap. I'm sure you agree with me, Pat, on that one.
Yeah. Actually, if my thinking is also, if you can do anything in your local community to support some of the local Asian businesses,
great idea, mate.
It is one of the best ways to help.
Absolutely.
At a shop, or if you're going to go for food, consider eating at a Chinese restaurant, like that kind of thing. Just supporting the businesses that are already there. I mean, small businesses especially have been having a lot of trouble over the last year, so it would go a long way, in my opinion, to just keep that in your mind.
Well said, my good man. Anyway, my last shout out will go to our patrons, listeners, and viewers. We love you guys. We love the support as always, and that brings us to the end, mate. Thank you so much, Pat, for joining me for this, again, stonkingly long weekly. Again, it hit Monday. It was Monday, and we had 7 stories, and we still had more that appeared in the week. It's just nuts. It's just this G.I. Joe train, mate. It's non-stop.
Yeah, but I'm not complaining.
That's very true. I don't know why I am. Well, I'm complaining because I've got a lot of work ahead of me. And with that said, that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you for watching the Full Force Weekly. Massive thank you to my awesome co-hosts, Patrick Not or Hot Picard Stewart, and Justin Generals Joes Bell. See you next time. And as always, after 3, 1, 2, 3, full force. Competition time! On the St Patrick's Day special, we were giving away a G.I. Joe Retro Series Lady J, courtesy of Dublin City Comics and Collectibles. The lucky winner is Mark Seddon. Congratulations to Mark, who just bombarded us with lots of Irish G.I. jokes. No competition this week, but check out next week for another brand new giveaway. Full force. Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on Twitter @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page facebook.com/TheFullForce, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on either of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/TheFullForce podcast, or click the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.